Okay, we can start.
All right, welcome everyone. We'll call this meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. We'd look for a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Moved by Murray, second by Dean, all in favor? That's carried. We'll put the minutes of the January 28th, 2021 meeting on the floor. Any
Yep,
discussion
I
on
can
those
move
minutes?
that one.
Moved by Nicholas, seconded by Cheryl. Any discussion on that? If not, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Now we'd look for a nomination for secretary for the meeting, for the Committee of Adjustment. Nicholas?
I could move, I could nominate Labitza be our secretary treasurer for the Committee of Adjustment.
All right. We have a seconder. Murray? You accept the nomination?
I accept. Thank you.
All right, all in favor? That's carried. Thanks, everyone. All right, we'll now call for Labitza to explain the purpose of this meeting.
Okay, the purpose of this public meeting of the West Perth Committee of Adjustment is to allow the presentations of applications for minor variances and to allow interested members of the public the opportunity to ask questions or offer comments with regard to these applications. Written comments must be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer of the committee. Any member of the public that would like to be notified in writing of the Committee of Adjustment's decision on the application are to provide their name and mailing address to the Deputy Clerk. This will also entitle you to be advised of a possible local planning appeal tribunal hearing in the event the decision of this application is appealed. Notices were sent by regular mail on April 19, 2021 to property owners within 60 meters of both subject properties and to agencies requiring notice.
Okay, thanks, Labitza. I just noticed I missed the declaration of pecuniary interest, so we better do that before we get into the applications. Any declaration of pecuniary interest? Nothing noted. Okay, we'll move on to the first application. This meeting is to consider an application for a minor variance for lands owned by Scott DeCroon and Becky McDougall, described as Part Lot 13, Concession 9, Part 1 on 44R-5467 Logan Ward, Municipality of West Perth, also known as 5900 Perth Line 44. I now request Planner David Gundrum to present the first report. David?
Thank you, Chair Tam. Good evening, members of Committee of Adjustment. I'm just going to share a screen at the moment and put up our report photo for this application. So just bear with me here. Can everyone see that okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. So this is an aerial photo of the site taken in 2015. The blue, turquoise blue lines describe the general boundaries of the property. So this application for minor variance that's been submitted to the Committee of Adjustment is requesting a reduction to the minimum rear yard setback for an accessory structure that would be generally located in the northwest corner of the property. I'll just flip to the sketch that's application drawing that's been provided by the applicant. So this drawing illustrates the general location of the existing dwelling here, the location of the existing shed over to the east of the dwelling, and the footprint of the proposed shed structure to the northwest corner of the property. The nature of the variance is regarding this 2-meter setback from the shed structure to the rear property line. The West Perth zoning bylaw otherwise requires a minimum rear yard setback, in this case of 7.5 meters. So the applicants are requesting a reduction of 5.5 meters to have a rear yard setback of only 2 meters from the proposed shed structure. Planning staff have reviewed the application for minor variance against the 4 tests of minor variance. The proposed accessory structure would be consistent with the land use permissions provided for under the County of Perth official plan, and therefore maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan for development on the site. The owners, the property is an established non-farm residential use that was created through an application for surplus farm severance in 2018. The purpose of the rear yard setback requirement in the zoning bylaw is to ensure that there is an adequate distance that would be maintained between buildings or structures and adjacent land uses. In this case, the adjacent land use on the site is a active farm operation containing cultivated field areas that wrap around the property as shown in the report photo. The placement of the shed at its proposed location would still ensure an adequate distance from the rear lot line such that there would be no impacts upon the agricultural uses permitted on the adjacent property. Planning staff have therefore found that the variance maintains the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw in this instance. The proposed shed is desirable and appropriate to supporting and enhancing the existing residential function of the property, and therefore meets the test of desirability and appropriateness of development for the subject property. And lastly, considering that the proposed placement of the shed is in proximity to a primary use, which is otherwise permitted under existing zoning, and will not cause any impacts to the adjacent agricultural use on the adjacent property, the proposed variance can be considered as being minor in nature. In summary, planning staff are recommending that the Committee of Adjustment approve the application for minor variance submitted by Scott DeCroon and Becky McDougall as it meets the 4 tests of minor variance as contained under the Planning Act. In response to our circulation provided on April 19th, 2021, we are in receipt of one piece of correspondence that was submitted by the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority. The Upper Thames River Conservation Authority expressed no concerns or objections with the subject application. And so in summary, again, we are recommending approval subject to 2 conditions which are contained in our report. Those being that the minor variance only apply to the proposed accessory structure consistent with the application drawing, and that the owners obtain necessary building permit within 2 years of the approval of the minor variance. That is summary of our report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that committee may have. Thank you.
Alrighty. Any questions? I guess we'll get to that. But why don't we hear from everyone first and then ask questions? If that's fair. We'll now ask for comments or questions from the applicant or agent if there is any. I see the applicant on the screen there, but not the video yet. Is there anything from the applicant, Labicha? Sorry.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
He just wanted to participate in
I don't have any issues.
Okay. Any members of the public with us?
We don't have anybody.
Nobody else? Okay, we'll now turn it over to committee members. Questions or comments? Anyone? Nicholas?
So would you know, David, the West Perth bylaw by heart, and the rear yard says 7.5, but the side yard would say 1.5 meters, that an accessory building could be as close as 1.5 meters to the side yard?
Through the chair, Councillor Vink, that is correct. I do have the bylaw open in front of me here, and the side yard setback for accessory buildings and structures in the agricultural zone is 1.5 meters, as you stated. So there is no concern for the side yard. The shed is proposed to be 2 meters away, so that would conform.
Okay. Anything else from anyone on the committee? No one? Okay. All right. We'll bring this discussion to a close and thank everyone that attended. Thanks, Scott. So the committee has a motion before us that the municipality of West Perth Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application number D13-01-21 submitted by Scott DeCroon and Becky McDougall, affecting lands described as Part Lot 13, Concession 9, Part 1 on 44R-5467 Logan Ward, Municipality of West Perth, also known as 5900, line 44. And that the committee hereby grants the following variance to zoning bylaw 100-1998. Section 6.3.3.3. That the minimum accessory structure rear yard setback is 7.5 meters. The proposed accessory structure would have a rear yard setback of 2 meters, requiring a variance of 5.5 meters. The subject application conforms to the general intent and purpose of the County of Perth official plan and the Municipality of West Perth zoning bylaw. The subject application has also been found to be desirable for the appropriate development or use of the subject property and is minor in nature. The following conditions are recommended to apply. Number one, that the minor variance only applies to the proposed accessory structure consistent with the application drawing. And number two, that the owners obtain the necessary building permit within 2 years of the approval of the minor variance. So that was long-winded, but that's the motion we have before us. We have moved by Dean.
Yes, I'll move that.
Seconder Murray. Okay, any discussion on that motion? All in favor? That's carried. And then Lubicha has the decision sheet for us to, I think that's an e-signature that we get.
That is correct. Yes, I will send the notices of the decision and then collect the electronic signatures.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, now we're on to the second application. Do we have anyone joining us, Lubicha?
Yes, we have an applicant here. Just give me a second.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let's see Daryl on the screen. All right, this meeting is to consider an application for a minor variance for lands owned by Daryl Pohl on behalf of Kirby Pohl, described as part lots 16 and 17, concession 9, part 1 on 44R-2422 Fullerton Ward, Municipality of West Perth, also known as 5641, line 20. I would now request Planner David Gundrum to present this report.
Thank you, Chair Tam. I'll just share my screen at the moment to put the application drawing up for illustration purposes. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
So this application for minor variance is seeking to permit a accessory structure to be located in the front yard as shown on the application drawing here, illustrated by the yellow rectangle here. The West Perth zoning bylaw doesn't otherwise allow accessory structures and buildings accessory to residential use to be located in the front yard. The proposed front yard setback in this case would be 48.77 meters from Perth line 20. Planning staff have evaluated the application with respect to the 4 tests of minor variance. The first test being maintaining in general intent and purpose of the official plan. Establishment of an accessory garage in this case would be consistent with the land use permissions that are granted under Section 5 Agriculture of the County of Perth official plan concerning farm units, as this is a farm property in this case. Therefore, the proposed variance does meet the general intent and purpose of the County of Perth official plan. With respect to the West Perth zoning bylaw, the owners have an established farm-related residential use on the property and desire to establish a new garage to support that existing farm-related residential use. Potential locations for the establishment of the new garage are limited in the zoning bylaw to only the rear yard and interior side yard areas. As the interior side yard and rear yard areas of the property are constrained by either existing grading or topographical features, and presence of existing buildings and or presence of existing areas of the property used for crop production. For practical reasons, it is appropriate in this case, in our opinion, that the proposed garage be located to the front of the existing house, and thereby will avoid any interference with existing agricultural activities or challenging topographical areas located on the property. In summary, we are of the opinion that the proposed variance maintains the general and purpose of the West Perth zoning bylaw, as the proposed location would still ensure that the garage remains secondary and subordinate to the primary use, while not causing any interference with agricultural activities on the property, nor any interference with sightlines for traffic in the area. The third test of minor variance regarding desirability and appropriateness of the development. The proposed garage we've found to be both desirable and appropriate to supporting and enhancing the farm-related residential use on the subject property, and therefore it meets this test of minor variance. It is a use that would be commonly found for these types of land uses throughout the municipality. And lastly, considering that the proposed placement of the garage would be in proximity to the existing primary residence and will not functionally interfere with the principal use of the property for farm-related uses, and is otherwise a permitted use within the West Perth zoning bylaw, the proposed variance can be considered as minor in nature. Planning staff are therefore recommending that the Committee of Adjustment approve the application for minor variance, subject to the two conditions which are detailed in our report to committee. And just in response to our public circulation provided on April 19th, 2021, we are in receipt of one piece of correspondence from the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority with the Upper Thames stating that they had no concern or objection to the proposed application for minor variance. So that is summary of our recommendation to committee and comments received to date, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that members of the committee may have. Thank you.
All right, thanks, David. We'll now ask to hear from the applicant or agent if do you have anything, Daryl? Think you're muted there, Daryl.
No, I really don't have it. I really don't have anything to add. Thanks for your consideration, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any members of the public joining us?
There is none.
Nothing? No one? Okay, thank you.
No one.
Questions or comments from committee members? No? Yeah, it's kind of a unique property. It looks like it makes sense when you go by and have a look at it. So, to me anyway, but okay. If there's nothing else, we'll bring this discussion to a close, and thanks for everyone that attended. Thanks, Daryl. So we have a motion before us that the municipality of West Perth Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance D13-02-21 submitted by Daryl Pohl on behalf of Kirby Pohl, affecting lands described as part lots 16 and 17, concession 9, part 1 on 44R-2422 Fullerton Ward, municipality of West Perth 5641 line 20, and that the committee hereby grants the following variance to zoning bylaw 100-1998. Number 1 is section 5.1.3. Accessory buildings and structures shall not be located in a front yard or exterior side yard. The proposed accessory structure would be located in the front yard and would have a front yard setback of 48.77 meters. The subject application conforms to the general intent and purpose of the County of Perth official plan and the municipality West Perth zoning bylaw. The subject application has also been found to be desirable for the appropriate development or use of the subject property and is minor in nature. And then the following conditions are recommended to apply. That the minor variance only applies to the proposed accessory structure consistent with the application drawing, and that the owners obtain the necessary building permit within 2 years of the approval of the minor variance. Alrighty, that's long-winded again, but that's everything that was before us. So, do we have anyone prepared to move that? Moved by Cheryl. Second by Nicholas.
Yep, I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Nothing, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you, everyone. And we'll get the decision sheet, by email also for an e-signature for that one. So we only have one more motion in front of us, and that's the West Perth Committee of Adjustment hereby closes this public meeting held pursuant to section 45 of the Planning Act at 6:22 p.m. So by Dean. I'll second by David.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry. I put my hand up too soon.
Second by Murray. All in favor? That's carried. All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Go ahead,
Good evening,
David.
everybody.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah.